Hey, Coach, thanks for taking the time. We'll start with Ruben Frank and then Paul Domowitch.
Hey, Dave, how are you? I wanted to ask you specifically about Kayvon, Davion Taylor, and Sean Bradley, three guys who played a lot of reps for you in their first game without a preseason, how they did.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about all three of those guys. They had some ups and downs. Davion had the penalty on the punt return. I felt like he worked really hard on those plays, so I was proud of his effort. I think all those guys got a lot of room for improvement, but I thought all of them showed up for their first game and did a nice job out there. Sean Bradley obviously played more than the other two guys a little bit, had a few more snaps for us. I thought he handled his first game well. I think it's good for all those guys. They had no preseason games, so for them getting out there playing those plays for the first time, full speed, the whole field, I thought overall it was a good place to start. I think all of them, all of us, got a lot of room for improvement on all those plays, really.
Paul and then Zach.
Hey, Dave. Rudy Ford. It was hard not to notice him on Sunday. What does he mean to that punt coverage unit and special teams overall right now?
Yeah, no, Rudy's he's always been a really good player for us, talented. Obviously, last year he got nicked up, and so we didn't have him for a chunk of the season. But you guys all saw, I mean, he's got great speed. He can run on the perimeter. I would also say this, though. I mean, I thought there was some really good team coverage. I think anytime you're talking about a gunner, then you also got to talk a little bit about the punter. Usually if the punter's hanging the ball up there, the gunner's got a chance to make more plays. I thought Cam did a better job with that in this game than he's done in the past at times. So I thought, obviously, there was some improvement in some areas. Still got a lot of work to do. Rudy knows that. He could be better in some areas, too, and he's got stuff he's really wants to improve and get better at. The good news is he's really hungry right now, and he's in a good spot. So we're excited about him.
Quick follow-up on that. With his speed, are you more apt to let your punter this year go for distance, try to kick it as far as he can, than maybe in the past when you've been a little bit more concerned with hang time?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of variables that go into every play. I kind of alluded to that, I think, last week when I talked to you guys, but there's just a lot of situations in the game. But I would definitely say the faster that coverage group is, the further they can get down the field before the ball's caught, then the further you can punt the ball down the field and the less trouble you're going to run into at some point. So I think there's some truth in what you're saying. It's never as easy as just any given play or speaking in generalities. But, yeah.
Zach and then Dave.
Hey, Dave, what's the reason for the punt return rotation, and what's your level of concern about Jalen Reagor's ball security?
Jalen obviously put that first one on the ground. I was disappointed for him on that play right there. I thought he did a nice job of bouncing back, though. He responded. I mean, we didn't blink. We know there's going to be some ups and downs with every young player. We're going to hang in there with him. He's really explosive, and we're excited about him. I thought he did a really nice job on his last return. Unfortunately, we had the penalty on that play, but I thought he did a really nice job of handling that. I thought he went back in the game and did a good job. I thought Greg did a great job. We're probably going to rotate those guys in and out. There's a lot of different stuff that goes into that. I'm not going to get into all the specifics, but I think you'll see both those guys back there at some point or quite a bit in every game throughout the course of the year.
Dave and then Nick.
Hey, Dave, we saw Duke Riley have a pretty heavy workload on defense and special teams. Is that sustainable for the year?
Yeah, no, we track all that stuff. I think he had 80 snaps or so. He was the highest for us, and he did a good job. I mean, I think you got to look at all those situations individually. We've kind of always done that. How much a guy's playing on offense or defense, how much on special teams, how old is the guy, how much energy does he have in his tank. So we'll just kind of monitor it based off of week to week, I would say, and also, kind of where our roster's at and if there's another option or maybe on some plays there's other options. But we always keep a close eye on that. So we'll see moving forward. We'll play just 1 week at a time right now.
Nick and then John.
Hi, Dave. I noticed in the game that neither team really even tried to attempt a kickoff return. I know in your case, a lot of times it was because your kickers, put it through the back of the end zone. But have you reached the point where, as far as your philosophy on returns, is you're not even going to try anymore for any balls that reach the end zone?
Well, I would say I wouldn't share necessarily all that answer just for competitive reasons, but I would never say never. There's times where we feel good about returning the ball in the end zone. We go into some weeks saying that's a good idea. Some weeks we say it's not as good of an idea. I think right now, early on in this season, obviously the ball travels really well in the air right now, so these guys can all kick touchbacks a lot easier. Late in the year, there's going to be a lot of kicks returned. And guys won't be able to get the ball to the end zone, or kickers won't be able to. So we obviously have to get ready for that. This year, having no preseason, you also kind of want to have guys get some reps under their belt. Even if the ball's not returned against them, they can start training their eyes and looking, there's a lot of situations too, but they can start to work their technique, their eyes. They can start to see what return's setting up on them and start getting a feel for live coverage throughout the course of the early part of the season here. So we're getting ready to cover them as we go.
John and then Ed.
Hey, Dave. You just kind of mentioned no preseason, and we talked before, and Doug kind of mentioned maybe the uncertainty was even a little bit more on special teams. Just curious, going back to normal seasons, did you notice a big difference in how guys were ready and ramped up?
I noticed the difference. I was nervous going into those first few plays, all of them, even the field goal team. We had a bunch of young players playing on that field goal unit who did a really nice job for us. Washington in the past has been good rushing, but there was uncertainty. I think I said to you guys last week, we did a lot of live drills. We felt like we had them really well prepared, or the best that we really could. Even being really critical on ourselves. That being said, until those plays really play out full speed, you just never really know what's going to happen. I thought guys handled themselves well. I thought there was a lot of really good things that showed up. That being said, there's like I say, a lot of errors in there, and there's a lot of room for improvement. I think the challenge in this league really is just getting better each week. The teams that can get better each week and keep doing it week after week, and then really end up having a chance to play their best football down at the end of the year.
Ed and then Les.
Hey, Dave. Just losing Craig James here, looks like for an extended period. He was such a big part of the special teams group. How big a loss is that? Where do you go now without him?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't even know how long he's out or if he is out. But, at the end of the day, all these guys could go down at any one play right there. And we'll just have the next guy step up and go in. We're confident. We got contingency plans. In that game, Crayvon LeBlanc came in for us and played a bunch of his snaps and did a real nice job. He had one gunner rep, and he had a couple reps on the outside as a jammer on punt return. I thought Crayvon went in there and competed well and did a nice job for us. Obviously, if he were to be down, then we'd be able to adjust the roster a little bit and get somebody else up potentially. So those are all the things that happen for us week to week. We'll just see who we have available to us, and then we'll put the best 11 out there.
Go ahead, Les, and then Ruben.
Well, I was going to ask about Craig James, so I'll think of something else here. The 53-yard field goal, it looked like it was just a little bit short. Elliott has a great leg. What did you see there? Did he just not hit it right? Was the hold not great?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked about that play. I'll say this. The first part of that play probably nobody saw, but obviously we took that negative play on offense. Before that, we had the sack there, and it backed it up. And I'll be honest with you, at first I thought they were spotting the ball at the 38-yard line. So right away in my head I'm thinking that's a 56-yard field goal. That's right on the edge of his range. That wind had kind of turned, not that it was really strong, but just a little bit back into us going that way at that point in the game. And so it was like right on the edge of that decision-making process with coach, and I think I jammed him up, to be honest with you. And then he's like, no, it's on the 35. And so then I'm like, oh, yeah, go. So then those guys got out there late, and then it just started poorly by me. And then those guys got out there late, and they went to execute. I would say if you look closely at that play, if you look real close, it probably wasn't our best snap and hold, and that all has an effect on the thing. And so anyway, he ended up missing the kick. But I'm actually really encouraged about Jake. I mean, he's hitting the ball as well as I've seen him hit it since I've been here, and he's been steady. I think that play was less of him and more to do with other circumstances, starting with myself than anything.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
we'll wrap it up with Ruben and then Dave, and then we'll get Rodney in.
This might be a little too macro at this point, but there were 19 missed field goals in the league over the weekend. It's the most since 2002, week 13. Any theories why? I mean, would that have something to do with the operation not being, practiced as much during the off season? Any theories about that?
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's the first I heard of that. I knew about the one, and it kills me. But no, I don't know. I will end up looking at all those. Usually, probably by the end of today, I end up going through all the plays in the league, and so I'll end up seeing those plays. It's hard to tell because I couldn't tell you. I feel like I read that there was 2 blocks, so that obviously is 2 of those 19. But I'm not really sure what happened on the other ones, whether there's some mechanical snap hold stuff going on or if it's more just guys missing it. So I would say in order to give you a really good answer, I'll have to go back through. Next week, I'll be able to give it to you.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, Dave.
I just wanted to follow up on Jalen Reagor. We saw a few muffs earlier in training camp. Any theme between those and the one on Sunday?
I would say this. I mean, he had 2 guys. He had really 4 guys. We didn't do a great job on the outside slowing those guys down. Their 2 gunners were humming at him a million miles per hour, too fast, too close to him. Our guys were close to him, so we really had 4 guys in his face. I'm definitely not making an excuse for it, but that was the situation that happened. It was a tough situation. It was his very first punt return back there. So anyway, he ended up putting it on the ground. Obviously, it's not acceptable. We're not accepting it. Starts with me. But in terms of confidence with the guy, I'm not worried. Now, if it continues to be a theme, obviously we'll have to talk about it more. But I would say right now, like I said, I mean, he bounced back, won the game, and handled the ball well. One of the balls was on the ground. He did a great job of getting our team out of the way, kept his poise. I thought he made a great decision back there deep when the ball went over his head and bounced on the 4-yard line on a long punt. I think it was off their 38-yard line right there. And he showed good awareness for where he was on the field. So he's done a lot of really good things for us to just get super down on any one player for any one mistake, especially these young guys. The bottom line is, I think when you watch young returners throughout the league, and if you just go back in history, like I think Devin Hester has more muffs than anybody. He obviously turned out to be a really good player. I think Darren Sproles put a bunch of them on the ground early in his career. So I think when you look at that, again, I'm not saying it's acceptable or tolerable, but I think that when you look closely at that stuff, I think there's a little bit of a history of young players doing that. But we're excited about him. We're excited about what he brings to us, and there's no doubt in my mind it will continue to get better and better.
Thanks, Coach.